Ugh. Today, it's a little bit different. Today we're talking about project cars. Oh, project cars. Working on the cars you love. Main subject in project cars today. Should you swap your engine? Or, so you want to swap your engine? It's kind of a little bit of insight from me watching these guys over the years and some work from my past, of course. Got a lot of insight on what's going to happen. So basically how my process started with wanting to engine swap something. I bought a 3rd gen Trans Am 3 years ago, and I had a 400 small block in it. Pretty spicy car, ran on like 6 cylinders because there's destroyed spark plugs we had no idea about. Pulled that out to put an LS in it, or a Vortec. Pulled that out to put a Gen 4 4.8 in it, and a Turbo 400. I lost interest in the swap. Just wasn't an American car guy, it's not my thing. Fast forward, sold the car, wanted to build my dream car, that 91 Miata that you guys have seen so much of. I've always wanted a Miata since I was like 10 years old, 10, 11. It's been the ultimate car I've always wanted. Now, of course, you can tell it's in pieces. That's a big part of the topic. How much do you love that car? Do you love it enough to sit there every night working on it? Maybe it doesn't have to be every night. Maybe it's a night a week. Maybe it's the entire time on your weekends and you have no free time with anybody else. Is it really worth it to you? Like, do you love that car enough for it to be in pieces for 342 days? That car's been sitting exactly like that. Basically, it's been moved around up and down, but it has not rolled back and forth, or forward and backwards, in 342 days. That's the day I started tearing down the Miata. Started tearing down that Miata, and maybe a month after that I started filming these YouTube videos. Been having a good time with it so far. Really enjoying myself, actually. I'm glad you guys have been here for all of the stuff that's happened. It's been 9-10 months of me filming this stuff. It's been a very good time. It's shown me a lot. It's shown me a lot about myself, even. But my ADHD is going off the walls right now, so I'm sorry if I'm bouncing on topics here. What I was saying. Do you love the car enough? If you don't, maybe it's not the best option. It's going to be in pieces, unless it's a simple swap. This is supposed to be a simple swap. This car right behind me somewhere. 1st gen RX-7 going from a 12A to a 13B. I put that in quotation because it's technically a 13B. It is a 13B, but it's a Renesis out of an RX-8. So it's a bit of a weirder 13B. Most people would just take an FC or an FD 13B, simple swap, use a 5-speed. You can even use a stock 5-speed. But they don't handle enough power for at least what I eventually want. So this has a Renesis RX-8 engine and a 6-speed out of a Shinka, one of the special editions. Besides the point. Ambition. Are you going to have the drive when work starts to get slow, like in the garage, and your funds start to run low because you're dumping thousands of dollars into this? Like, this is going to be a budget swap? Still kind of is. It's cheaper than most swaps out there. But I'm close to that $4,000 mark, and my original budget was $3 grand. Things spiral out of control. You're going to set an original budget and be like, oh yeah, this is more than fair. I'll definitely have more than enough funds in the bank account for this. Like, oh, I need this. Oh, all these hose clamps. Oh, these special hoses. This clutch hose made. Well, can't afford to buy this. So it looks like I'm making this and making that and making this. So then it does work, but it could have worked better. But you learn a lot in the process. Especially with making my own custom cross member, my own oil pan, having to make the alternator relocation bracket, having to do an electric water pump because the alternator relocation bracket just too expensive to find an FC or an FD water pump housing and run that. It's actually around the same price to run an electric water pump because of the fact that you're looking at cavitating water pump housings from 30 years ago versus finding a real good condition one that is shiny for an astronomical price versus the mount setup. again, with the different topics. What is your swap? Is it going to be something different? Because my one buddy, Gino, is somewhat against the different swaps. He's all for it if it's definitely going to work out or if it seems plausible. But if you want to put something weird in something really weird, you're going to have a lot of time, a lot of money, and you're probably going to be one of the first people doing it. There's not a whole lot of documentation out there of this exact swap, like a Renesis and 6-speed going in the first-gen RX-7. There's a few here and there, not very many. And if they are, they're in the FB chassis. This is an SA with the weird taillights that everybody hates. I know. Big whoop. Fundage. Do you have the fundage for a swap or a build? Because you're going to go to swap the car and you're going to realize, well, these brakes aren't going to be sufficient for double, if not over double the power. Gotta check on something. Suspension. Is the suspension equivalent for the maybe extra weight you're adding or the weight you're taking away? It's a little bit lighter in the front end now. It's kind of raked or squatted. Oh, Jesus. It's squatted. But beyond the fact, do you have money for things past just the swap? Suspension, brakes, better tires, because the old raggedy ones won't grip the road anymore. What else? Does your car need ball joints? Have you not done maintenance at all and you're looking into a swap? How solid is your car? Is the floor falling apart? The Volvo. Does it have good chassis bracing? Subframe ties. Is it a convertible? Yes. One of them is, actually. Does it have proper frame rails? Are the door bushing sufficient so the chassis doesn't twist with the extra power? Do you have a roll bar if it's convertible? Is there any reinforcements? How much power are you putting in the car? Are we talking 500, 600 horsepower and you're going to need potentially at least a roll bar, really good tires, sufficient brakes, better coilover, because your stock suspension is going to handle those massive G's in the corners. I know 600 horsepower is just the average these days. You got to have 1,000 to be cool, bro. But my measly 200 horsepower and one day sufficiently more up front there isn't, you know, a big deal now, but it is, especially if you're starting out with 105 and maybe 95. Organization. How organized is your garage? Is it like this, where it's sporadic and none of us focus on one thing at once? So there's everything everywhere. There's a side-by-side in here, there's a mini crotch rocket. I had to think about it for a second. 5 cars, soon to be another one. How many cars do you own? Is this your daily that you're planning on just swapping in a weekend and figuring it all out? Or is it a project car that you bought in pieces and somebody else tore apart, but maybe they did some wiring here, they did some wiring there? What are you really looking at? I'm running out of filming storage here, so that's why I keep on checking. Alright, we got a little bit more space here. Still running low on it because I should be filming with something else right now. Organization. This garage, believe it or not, you saw in the previous videos if you've been here for a good while, was fairly organized and somewhat clean. Like, there was a lot of space to walk through. Good, how am I going to put this? So much room for activities. If you get that reference, thank you. There was a lot of room for activities, things to do, spaces to put stuff. So we took stuff and put it in the spaces. And it just keeps on adding up and adding up. And you're like, I'll just wait to clean until the car's done, because that's just better that way. Because you're like, maybe I'll misplace this along the way. You probably will. Stuff gets misplaced all the time. How organized are your tools? Do you have enough tools for a swap? Is it a custom swap? Do you need a welder? Do you need a MIG and a TIG welder? What are you going to be doing? Do you have a buddy that can help you along with this? Do you have room for the possibly additional exhaust, if not upsized exhaust? The 2 1/4 versus the now 3-inch I'm putting on this car? What else does it really narrow down to? We covered fundage, possibility of a different swap, your means of actually swapping it. Is it the only car you own? Organization. I feel like I'm just rambling on here, missing some stuff here and there. How much knowledge do you have about your car? Or about cars in general? You're one of those guys that, like, you know, I'm not hating on you, because this is how everybody starts. You just start out doing oil changes and, like, brakes, and, like, maybe you did some suspension mods and put some wheels on there, make an intake, maybe some exhaust for it. That's where I started. You just doing that stuff, or you out here making custom stuff for your car for the first time? I'm also there. Making custom stuff for your buddies, making a floor pan and fixing their exhaust, or having to modify the exhaust, or having to hold a transmission in place while they get the engine in there, because their horrible alignment system is just so much fun to work with, and somehow it has worked out twice in 2 weeks on the same car, right over there in all black. You know the one I'm talking about. It's been horrible. Besides the point, these guys have swapped, shall I say, multiple vehicles. Samothy over there, or Sam, my big brother, has the Vortex swap New Edge Mustang. I'm keep on saying Vortex. I know you guys are so anal about it. Big whoop, it's the same engine. Get over it. I don't care. We pulled the engine, well, he's pulled, I've helped him put it back in, the engine out of that thing 3 times in the past 2 months to figure out some little problem that's causing a lot of stress. It's just, it could be some insignificant thing, or it could be some massive problem. We don't really know. That's why we're trial and error here. It comes back to the whole knowledge aspect. Nobody knows. Even like people that know stuff don't know stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna run into stuff where you have no idea what the hell you're looking at. Yeah. Let my phone die there like an idiot, naturally. But I think we've covered most of the basics here. Organization, fundage, is it your only car, capabilities, drive to actually work on the car, like ambitions. I got ambitious goals. I want to do a lot with the cars and such. Clearly I've got large goals for my sizable budget. Small size. Noted. But it ain't too bad. Honestly, if you got the drive, a little bit of spare change, if it's not your only car, why not? What's stopping you? People give up on projects all the time. I get that. I've been there. I'm not giving up on that one even though it's been 342 days. Doesn't matter. It's going to be done. You'll see all of it. I swear by that. This one will be done soon enough. It's kind of the fun part. Just working on new stuff, figuring it out. Most people aren't going to have stories like this to tell. Stories like this to tell. Jesus. Ooh, one of the ones I'm forgetting. It's about, you know, custom fab, waiting on parts. Wiring. Some people look past wiring at the start. If your car has an integrated chassis and engine harness, it gets kind of interesting. This is somewhat integrated, but it is carbureted, so who really cares? Those are separate. Kind of lucky there. Separate, carbureted. No big thing. If your car is simple, if it's old, there's not a whole lot of wires around it, like this big yellow thing beside you. There's not a whole lot of wires around it. You got it easy. You got it made. There's nothing in here. Yeah, I know. I can pop the hood on the front. Whatever. Probably not good. You can tell there's not a lot going on. There's some vacuum hoses. That's the main bulk of the wiring. It continues back there. There's a few plugs, of course, for fuel. But it all narrows down to those 2 little guys right there. That's about it. If you're working with something like this, go for it. You got easy wiring. That's about the coverage. I think I've covered all the check notes here and there. Probably missing some stuff, but you know. Missing some stuff here too. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to have some updates on this old bastard coming real soon. Appreciate you. Have a good weekend. I love you.